Hi, Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out with Lucas Browne, heavyweight contender, ahead of his big fight, March 24th at the O2 against Dillian Whyte. Lucas, you've been here for around a week now, is that right?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, a week now, yeah.
How's it been in terms of getting over the jet lag? Obviously, it's not your first rodeo, not your first time in the UK.
No, I've had 5 fights in the UK now. This will be the 6th. I've been here 7 times in total. But yeah, I arrived on the Thursday when the weather was at its finest. That was definitely a shock to the system. But yeah, it's back to the normal drizzly, cloudy weather that we're used to. Everything's gone quite well. I had a little bit of a flat day yesterday, but as you can imagine, I haven't had any jet lag from the actual plane itself, so I'm assuming it would have caught up to me at some point. And now all the sparring's done. We're just sort of into the actual process of just sort of finalising everything, and away we go.
And what sort of sparring have you been getting over here? Obviously, it's been reported and shown that you've had a session or two with Chisora, Dereck Chisora, but has there been anyone else on the radar over here?
Initially, it was supposed to be Nathan Gorman out of Hatton's camp. Unfortunately, he had a fight the weekend before and had a little bit of issue with the thumb. Okay. So he didn't spar myself, and we had Tyson Fury come down for one session. So that was definitely interesting. Yeah, a lot of shenanigans taking place. He did a spinning back elbow on me and all sorts of things. So it was good to get in amongst it and just sort of move around and stuff like that. And then had 2 sessions with Chisora, yeah.
So did Tyson Fury come down specifically to have that session with you?
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
That's pretty cool. Are you guys quite friendly then? I guess you must be.
He's been a little bit quiet, as you can imagine, over social media with me over the last sort of year or so. But prior to that, we were talking all the time, yeah. So I'd say it was a decent relationship, yeah.
And it must be mutually beneficial because he's obviously on the comeback trail. He's shedding a lot of weight. He needs to sharpen himself up against a world-class heavyweight, whereas you're coming up to a really big fight against Whyte. So for both of you, it must have been mutually beneficial sessions.
That's right. It did make sense. He's looking a lot better than what he has of late. Still got a bit of weight to sort of take off, but he's moving well, and he's long and awkward and lanky, and he does it actually quite well. So yeah, it was good for me to have that experience, and I'm sure vice versa for him as well.
And looking at Fury and Chisora in turn, how can each of them help you in terms of the Whyte fight, in terms stylistically?
Fury wasn't stylistically at all. It was mainly just to get in there and do something. The option was to come down to London early and do some more sparring down here, but then that would have meant another sort of transit, another hotel, everything else. So we decided to stay in Manchester for that period. And it just so happened that Tyson was there, so we just took it on board. But with Chisora, obviously he's got a little bit more insight on Whyte himself, having fought him and everything else. Good size, good style, so that made sense as well.
And what did you make of the sparring session with Chisora without giving too much away? He's obviously rough, tough kind of guy. Is it kind of technical sparring, or was it more similar to a fight?
Bit of both, to be honest, yeah. There's a lot of inside fighting and pushing around and things like that, which is good because that gets the cardio going and stuff like that as well. So I did want to feel another big guy up against me and stuff like that, and be able to move around. So it was a bit of both, a little bit of technical, but a lot of just sort of, not messy, but in there and amongst it.
And is that sort of top-level sparring one of the things that compensates for your inactivity? I think you mentioned before you've had 3 fights in the last 3 years. Yeah. Is that something that helps kind of take away from that a little bit, that you're getting that top-level sparring?
I certainly think so, and I believe so, yes. So I would have hoped to get a little bit more in, but unfortunately Gorman wasn't available. But other than that, yeah, I think that sort of does compensate a little bit for it, yes.
And that time you've had out of the ring, I imagine you've spent more time in the gym to compensate. What sort of things have you been working on predominantly?
More, you'd probably say more the amateur style stuff. I didn't have any amateurs at all, so there's a lot of things I didn't actually learn initially, which I'm sort of learning after, which just the way it happens. So it's a lot of footwork, different head movement, different angles, southpaw, all sorts of different things that we're sort of trying to work on.
And what sort of fight can fans expect on March 24th between you and Whyte? Is it going to be a chess match? Is it going to be a brawl? What do you see?
I think it does... it's basically up to him in regards to how he takes my power. I'll land a few shots, see how he takes it. If he then gets on his bike and sort of moves around, it'll be a different sort of style. But it may be an all-out sort of war in the middle. You never know. So I think it really is up to him at this point.
Thank you, Lucas, and best of luck on the 24th.
No problem.